things that I've been exposed to that I didn't realize existed that have benefited me, like it's just a different level of understanding. I call it the woo-woo world. Like I had heard about things before, as far as meditations and manifestations and the different universal laws. And I never thought about it, getting into it, but the people I've been surrounded by and the people I've met, it's just been really enlightening. I just feel like I've arrived somewhere, like, oh my God, this is just exactly what I've been needing, but I didn't know I needed it. And knowing that I need it now, and I wouldn't have known I needed it years and years before because I wasn't ready for it. Like, being arrived, I've what's what I'm looking for? Like I'm aligned. That's just the word I can choose now. I never knew that existed. You could be aligned with, with God's plan. I know that he and I are on the same page right now.
I think that's the beauty of it, because I was in a situation, I guess, similar to that, where I'm doing this journey. I don't know if I'm just doing it aimlessly without an objective in mind. And then you have certain people come into your life and they tell you something. And you're like, wow, how come I didn't know that 6 months ago? You know what I mean? It's one of those, as your moments, your mind's exploded, right?
Mm-hmm. We were meant to know it 6 months ago. 6 months ago, it wasn't ready for us. I mean, I really believe in everything being, I used to always say it sometimes too, like it's all in God's plan, it's all in God's plan. But I honestly see now how divine timing is truly divine timing. Everything that happens is supposed to happen the exact time that it happens with that person. Like this right here, this conversation is the divine timing. There's no surprises. There's nothing you could have done, nothing I could have done. This is supposed to be happening right now. And you get to just be in it, knowing that it was divine timing. I used to think I control a lot more. That's another epiphany. I used to think I control a lot more than I did. I was controlling nothing. Where I thought I was controlling, I was really just out of control. And now that I have released and surrendered out of that, now I truly have quote, quote, control, Yeah,
and I'll piggyback off of that, because once I send that email out to yourself and a few other people, it was just me basically catching up to see how everyone is doing your checking, make sure you're keeping the network of people that are important to you close to your chest, right?
Uh-huh.
And similar to you, a few people I spoke to were saying the same thing. It seems like maybe 2020, they're trying to control everything because maybe they felt they had to. Now, when I speak to them, similar to you, they're across it. They're like, you send that email to me was what I needed at that time. This person coming to my life was what I needed at that time. It was like you begin to think of certain things and all of a sudden the person just appears.
Yes, that's the manifestation. And it's amazing how simple it really is. Like, I used to know, like I used to laugh all the time where somebody crossed your mind and the next thing you know, they call. You're like, I was just thinking about you. That was manifestation. I never did know it's what it was called, but it's just, I don't know. It's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun just seeing this other, I call this other world. Just a different, and it's not the world has changed. It's my perception of it that has changed. The world has always been this way. My glasses, my sunglasses have been removed and I'm starting to see things clearer.
In what way do you think your perspective of the world has changed exactly?
Well, it would really kind of, I guess, more come down to like a certain topic of it. But holistically, I see the world as a resource. It's not this limit. It's not this and a partnership. I don't see it as this, oh, it's me. And then there's all this world. It's like it's all connected now. I see how we all revolve around each other, from the beauty of the trees and the leaves, the whole circle of life. I feel Lion Kingish. The whole circle of life makes sense. It's like, I have my Simba moments. I've been having Simba moments. Like you try to run away from something and it's like, no, it's not your destiny. Your destiny is to be here. This is what you were called to be. I feel like Simba.
Does that mean you're going to break out into the song and dance, or should we wait for part 3?
Lift myself up.
I was just about to say that, right? Just
Hold up there. All the animals
for
bow.
those who haven't seen Lion King, you can take away so much from that movie every time you watch it. Please catch up on that movie if you
You can
haven't.
take away from any movie that you watch, especially some Disney ones, but you can take away from that's what I love about movies. If you really get into them, there's so much life, even from a comedy to an adventure to I don't really like horror movies, but I can see how some things you can get something out of a horror movie, I'm sure. But I don't watch them. So, but I can see like just other kinds of movies, just really sitting down and be like, oh, that I understand that. That's a different way of looking at, maybe an experience I've had before, or maybe an experience I'm about to have. And this movie gave me a insight on how I could respond to it.
I did that recently with Rush Hour. You know, Chris Tucker movie, Chris Tucker, Jackie Chan.
Yes, yeah,
I
all three
binge
of them.
watch all three. I binge watch all three, and I've been watching it. I've been watching all three movies for the last 7 days.
Oh
Right? And I was
wow.
just watching them over and over again. And I'm thinking, and I'm going to sound like an old man when I say this, they don't make movies like that anymore.
They do not. They do not make them like they used to. That's what they don't. None of them. Or yeah, they don't. Music either. Certain things just like that had a wholesomeness to them, a natural comedy. Now a lot of them that are popular is a lot of cursing, a lot of negativity, just a lot of stuff that's like, yeah, do you have to really go there with it to make it funny? That's why he and Jackie Chan are both in they're unique to their time. Like they're the kind of people that those characters in a movie, you're like, wow, that only that person could do that. Like Robin Williams. I love every single movie Robin Williams was in. And when he took his life, and knowing that he took his life out of just depression, because I knew what I was going through at the time. I cried. I think it's the only superstar that I cried over his death, because I loved every movie he was in. And a couple of them actually changed my perspective of life at the moments that I watched him. He was Robin Williams. You cannot replace anything. Like Will Smith did pretty good with doing the second Aladdin, but Will Smith is also just Will Smith. There's certain roles on certain people can play. And those people like Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker are like that. You couldn't put somebody else in that. You can't recreate Rush Hour without Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker. You just can't.
I don't think we're in a place these days where we can laugh at the differences of each other.
I know.
Right? Because that's what made it funny, because they grew together and they had their, I don't want to say it was stereotypical view of each other, but they had their view of each other based on their culture, but they grew together to love and embrace it. I don't think we can have that type of magic anymore.
Not on screen. We can have it in our own movies, in our own life, but not on screen. It's just too much. It's too sensitive now. Like, and I guess it kind of depends on the perspective of it too. It probably could be done. My hair is in my ear. It probably could be done, but it would have to be done tastefully and with respect. Like you'd have to. It wouldn't be for every audience. Like Rush Hour, anybody can watch that and it can get a comic relief from it. But certain ones have to be tastefully made, and probably just for a certain generation of people, because it's too sensitive otherwise.
Yeah, I know you mentioned Robin Williams, and someone that passed that I felt it even though I didn't know the person personally. I felt I knew them through their work was Bernie Mac.
Oh, wow.
Because I knew his story, how he would travel for hours for $100 for stand-up. And I remember, I think it was Cat Williams. There was another comedian that said, you want to basically, I'm going to paraphrase, you want to see God's work? As soon as Bernie Mac made it big and showed everyone else you can be successful, he died.
Ooh.
Right? So he was like an inspiration for a lot of people who knew this struggle, because he hustled and he hustled. He's been with his wife since they were high school.
Ooh.
Only woman, no outside kids. He hustled. And when he finally made it, when he did Charlie's Angels, when he did Oceans, I think it was 12, he did.
Yeah.
He did all these big time movies. As soon as he made it big, he died from something that he was fighting for years. So it was good to see other people, his peers, say that this is God's work, basically. As soon as he made it and showed us hard work does pay off, he went to heaven.
Oh wow. I didn't realize he died so soon after he's successful. I guess I thought he was already successful because of the Bernie Mac show. But all that was lined up around the same time when his name
Yeah.
got known. Then shortly after that, he did die.
Yeah, he did the Kings of Comedy tour with
Comedy,
Steve Harmon then, and then he had his show.
entertainer. Yeah.
Yeah, and
He was
and
in the movies. He
then
was in Oceans. He was in Oceans 11 and 12, I believe. He was in two of them.
yes, he
He was
was
in
in
two
two
of
of
them.
them. So, and I think comedians probably have a bigger impact on us than movie stars because
Mhm.
I think they're more relatable, right? Like you
Yes.
probably felt like you knew Robin Williams through his work.
Because he really was, but he was a comedian. You know, he was a comedian turned actor. So his comedy carried with him through all the roles he played. So and he did make it very relatable, and that's why I liked his work. But yeah, comedians, because comedians, they speak on life, just people's issues and their gangs. They talk about it in a very fun way where everybody can be like, you can relate to something every comedian says, even the raunchy ones. You can relate to something. It might not be the presentation you like, but you can relate to it. Like, oh, that is funny. I felt the way before. I know somebody like that. So I used to always want to be a comedian, not used to, but I can see myself being a comedian sometimes. When it comes to like talking about teaching and educating, or just people say I make them laugh, and I don't do it on purpose. I just say things that seem to fit, but they're very comedic. I have good timing. That's why my Fun Time Fridays were so successful, because the jokes I told, my timing was right. They always said I would tell it and just my laugh afterwards, and the timing of it was good. So maybe in another life I'll be a comedian, or maybe I was a comedian. I don't know.
Just give them a quick synopsis of your own personal journey, as well as where do you see yourself going in the next year or two, because it's so exciting to me. I'm pretty sure it's still just as exciting to you.
It's awesome. Well, my government name is Yolunda Elam, but my husband of recently 30 years, we celebrated 30 years of marriage this month. I know, right? That's rare all by itself. But and I got married when I was 18. And so what else going with that? Oh, so anyway, he gave me the nickname when we were dating. He just started calling me Yo, and it just stuck. So I go by Yo. Recently resigned public school educator. I taught public school for 20 years. And within that 20 years of teaching, I also found myself burnt out, stressed, frustrated, and overwhelmed. And instead of me dealing with my issues in a healthy way, I began to drink. And I drank for 2 decades. It progressed over time. I started out social drinking like the average person, maybe a cooler here and there, then the sweet frou-frou drinks. And then I started taking shots and, then drinking straight. And then all of a sudden, I blinked. I don't even remember when I crossed the line to into the realm of alcoholism, but I found myself in rehab March of 2019. And while I was there, I was given the gift of knowledge and was told that I have a disease of alcoholism. And that gave me freedom, because now I know that this issue I was dealing with, thinking it was me this entire time, like a weakness of mine or a lack of effort or whatever it was, and internalizing all of that guilt and shame and resentment, it was something else that was outside of me, within me, that I can't control, but it gave me an opportunity to treat it. So I started that journey, and actually officially today is 902 days of sobriety. Didn't think that would be possible because I drank for 2 decades. Family life is amazing. Career life is awesome. Like I said, I resigned. So now I'm working on building up coaching and speaking engagements to tell my story, to speaking, and to help teachers understand and implement self-care so they don't burn out and they don't stress out and turn to unhealthy ways like I did. So that's what's going on right now, Terrain. And as far as coming up, I'm excited. I already know that the program I'm building up and the people I'm working with and are supporting me, it's going to be huge. I'm going to be able to pour into people and give monetarily, time-wise, service. And it just feels good to know that I get to be that person that I've been able to receive support from everybody else. I can start being that person for somebody. And I'm excited about that. It's going to be awesome.
It's like you're paying it forward, right? Because when I met your spouse through the Zoom meeting, he had all these wonderful things to say about you. And I told him that when I spoke to you, I was like, she was saying all these great things about you, how you were there. You gave her the nickname, you gave her the support. And I love seeing that because you mentioned 30 years, beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful accomplishment.
Praise God.
And you're doing that for someone else. Like, how important is it to give to others what so many people around you gave to you when you're going through your situation?
It's really important because I know what it feels like on the other end to receive. And it's actually pretty selfish because it feels so good to give. Matter of fact, these people should be telling me thank you for giving the opportunity to be of service and to support me, because it's the more you give, the more I think you step into more about yourself. Like, you step out of yourself to give to somebody else, which makes you step more into yourself. If that makes any sense. It's just, I can see that I have the ability to grow more by pouring into another person, which will enhance my reach on who I can help out. So I think that answers your question. Yeah.
Absolutely. I look at it as you only can get so far, right? And I look at it as the best example I can give is no one can build a house by themselves. They're going to need other people, and no one can furnish a house to make it feel like a home. Sometimes it takes someone else. And there's always that example when you walk into someone's house, and because everything is so organized, so neat, you're afraid to sit down because it looks uncomfortable, right? But um, you're that type of person that you give this warm energy, and I'm guessing you get that warm energy from others as well, and you're giving it back. Do you ever feel and I always forget where this quote is from. Do you ever feel it's like that quote, you give from your cup runneth over? Do you ever feel that
Oh
your cup
yeah.
is ever on empty, or is it always a full cup that you have and that's how you continue to help others?
I think what I try to do now is make sure I keep my cup full. And not what I do now is I don't rely as much on external things to fill my cup. I'm grateful for the people's support and their encouragement and everything else, but I don't rely on it, because contrary to what you said, you can build a house by yourself. You can, but it would be hard as hell. Like, you'd be building a house and it won't be easy, to take you a long time. But when you consciously choose to allow yourself to receive that support, you're keeping your own cup full. It's a choice to be able to say, I receive. And I didn't receive that for years. I kept trying to do everything by myself. I was trying to build that house. Have you heard the one about, like, you building the plane while you're flying it? You're flying the building at the same time,
Yeah.
because you're not letting people come in and help you steward the flight and co-pilot with you or be a flight attendant. So people who are miserable, people I think that who choose to stay in that pain, once they realize it's a choice, then they can choose differently. So I choose to keep my own cup full by pouring into myself and allowing myself to be poured into.
Do you think sometimes that's hard for people in general? And is it less difficult for you today, knowing what you know and the experience that you have?
I think it's hard for people in general because they don't know. They don't know that it's possible, or they haven't tried it out to see how easy it really is. Once you surrender enough, once I started surrendering enough and just letting people help, and asking for help. I learned that in rehab too. Strong people ask for help. Once I got out of my own way and started asking for help and receiving help, it became easier, but I didn't know. So I think the only reason why it's hard is because people don't know, or they don't give it a fair try. Like, they might ask one person for support. Like, if you're building a house and you might ask one person to help you brick it up, and they're like, "Oh, I'm busy." So then you just shut it down. Well, nobody's going to help me. I can't. Instead of asking somebody else, you just they quit too soon. And instead of you just keep asking and keep showing up, and next thing you know, you don't need as much external. It's a choice to want it, but you don't need it because you can I pour my own cup. I try to every day, and it's challenging. Nothing's perfect, but when I know that my mind is mine alone, it's the only thing I can control, I can choose to pour into my cup or empty it out. But it's still a choice. Life is just full of choices that we make day by day, moment by moment. And I think once that's realized and accepted, everybody's life can be easier, because then you can stop saying it's somebody else's fault. because it's yours. It's all your fault, whether it's a good day or a bad day, or whether it's a good one, it's yours. You chose for that to be what it was because you have that much power and control over your thoughts. And I just try to control my thoughts more and more throughout the day.
I mentioned that to someone as well because I give them the example that most of the decisions, well, let me take a step back. I told them most of what you experience in your life is because of your choice. And they looked at me like, no, there's this. I was like, you have a choice in life. And it comes down, for those listening, it's as simple as this. You either be the victor or you're going to be the victim, right? And I told this person this because I was like, from all the bad relationships you've had, you made a choice to date these people. Own your choice and move on. If you've had bad jobs, you chose to work there. In North America, ladies and gentlemen, and non binary, everyone who's listening, in a first world country, any job you have today, you've chosen that job, right? It's not like back in the day where people were being taken from their lands and forced to work with a gun to their head or death or something along those lines. So I think once you honestly accept that many of your circumstances, many of your situations are a choice, you will experience a level of freedom that so many people would love to experience. Is that something you agree with, Yo?
Yes, wholeheartedly. That is so true. As a part of my presentation I did that time when you came to support, which I am very grateful for, Tremaine. But it was, are you a victim or a survivor? Because you cannot be both. But in order to be a survivor, you do have to, quote, quote, have time in the victim world. You know what I mean? But once you realize that you're in that victim world, you choose to get out or you choose to stay in. Like, people, you can tell when somebody does not like their job, especially fast food and customer service. The ones you come through the retail and you be like, they don't want to check you out. They give you attitude. And you're going like, you don't have to work here. You have a choice to be here. And if this $9 an hour job is not bringing you value, then quit and go somewhere else. But I think people get into the cycle of thinking that's just how it is. They accept too quickly, oh, woe is me, it is what it is. No, you choose, you can create. You choose and create your own existence and your own, you create your own value. You don't have to wait for something else to do it for you. And when people can find that level of empowerment and that level of reality, like you said, it gives you a different it gives you a freedom that I think that majority of people don't experience because they still live in that old mindset, especially Black people. Oh, it is what it is, I hate when you meet miserable Christians. I dislike meeting miserable Christians, people who know God and love God. But when you say, how you doing? Oh, I'm just trying to make it. What? Do you know who we serve? Do you know who you belong to? And it's like, not just like maybe every now and then we have a moment where we're in a little lull, but the people who, who I'm talking about all the time, like, I'm just trying to make it, but God is good. He's going to take care of me. And I'm like, but the voice and the melancholy and it's draining. It's draining. I'm like, no, you must not have tapped into the level of love that God can give you, because you wouldn't be that way. You wouldn't choose to stay there, because that's not how He created us. We're vibrant beings. We're joyful. We're happy. Like I said, the flesh gets in the way sometimes, and we have those moments of woeism, but you don't have to stay there. It goes back to you can choose to get out. And when I realized, and because even with alcoholism, I thought that I didn't have a choice. I thought that it was like, oh man, I'm just gonna be stuck like this. Like, I can't stop drinking. It is what it is. Might as well just keep doing it. But finding out that I had the disease gave me more freedom to make a choice. Oh, I can choose to treat it, or I can choose to use it as an excuse because I have this ailment, and I can just say, oh, well, I have disease. I can't control drinking, and then my life would be over. I'd be dead right now. Honestly, I know if I kept drinking, I wouldn't have survived physically. I'd be dead. So it all comes down to choices.
Absolutely. And that's why I strongly agree with that. And that's why I promoted so much. And you made a point about those who have a faith background. And you ask 10 people, none of the 10 people will tell you that the most precious and most priceless gift you can ever give someone or be rewarded with is time. So if you have a creator or if you believe that if you live your life a specific way, this person, this being, this deity, this creator is going to give you the most precious gift, which is time, everlasting life. You should be walking around with that big Joker smile, just right? You know those big
Yeah.
smiles where it's all teeth?
Yeah, like
You should be
mine.
happy. Yeah,
Just like
exactly. You should
mine.
be
My
happy.
cheetah smile. Mhm.
Yeah, you should be happy all the time. If something, the response you gave should be when something bad's happening. Well, yeah, something bad happened, but you know what? God is good all the time, and big beaming smile. And I think sometimes it's easier to be the victim. It's more comfortable because you don't have to change. I think sometimes we're told, I was speaking to a young lady and she drank quite a bit in her youth. She's about 32 now.
Mhm.
She drank throughout all her 20s and she now has one kidney.
Oh Lord.
Her liver is, they're treating it's getting better, and it caused her to experience all kinds of different behaviors. And it was tough for her because her parents come from they're very involved in the church.
Mhm.
So she's getting that stress from there. You're a daughter of a minister, so of course he's going to tell you, okay, you know
Mhm.
what? Let's
Yeah.
pray. Let's do this. Let's do this. So she looks back on it, and she's trying to overcome her situation. But every few times a year, she would tell me, she's like, Terrain, something from my past always comes up as either a reminder or to try to make me fall back and take a step back. I told her that right there is just, and I use it really just, I'm like, that's the devil's work,
Mhm.
right? Trying to pull you back. Now,
Mhm.
from those who don't have that religious background or who don't have that faith base, that's just the world trying to pull you back into being something that you no longer be because you're stronger. And I told her that it is easier to go back to what you used to be than to continue forward. The only problem now is because you made certain choices, your journey is going to be more difficult than maybe the other person who didn't embark on that type of behavior. Is that something, that you've experienced, or is that something that you teach others as well?
Both. And where you said the world or is the devil, it's the ego. And the ego is going to do its very best to survive, and the ego likes to be what's what I'm looking for? Misery loves company. And I think that the reason why people stay in victim mode is because, yes, it's easy and it's comfortable, and there's so many other people like them. If you think about it, like I'm surrounded now with more like-minded people who are on this journey of alignment, this level of connection, this, how can we change the world in a positive way? But when I was drinking, I was surrounded by, oh, let's just go have some fun. Let's forget everybody else. Let's just be selfish and greedy. So it's where you're comfortable. And when and because there's people around you, it makes you feel like it's okay, it's normal. But once you break that comfort, and like you said, and you push through, new level, new devil, you're going to end up finding other things that are going to try to pull you back because it doesn't want you to leave it. It wants that misery, likes that company. It wants you to stay. Like, no, don't go anywhere. I want you to stay right here with me. Be sad, be woeism, be angry, be frustrated. I don't want you to be happy, joyful, and free, because that takes work, but it doesn't take as much work as you think. It actually takes more work to stay in that victim mode. I remember when I was in church as a little girl, they did a Bible study sermon on the things that are good and the things that are not good. And we were listing, and you could list, being angry, being frustrated, being or lying, stealing, cheating, cursing, the long list we could keep on for hours. But the good list, be happy, be joyful, be loving, be kind. It wasn't that many. It takes more work to be on that side of the fence than it does to be on the other side. And you get nothing from that side of the fence with all the negativisms than you do when you stick on the positive side. So it's those kind of epiphanies, I think, just need to be taught more. So I'm doing both. I lived it, and now I do my best to express it just in my day-to-day. Like, people always tell me I have this amazing energy, and they experience joy with me, and I'm grateful because obviously, just what I've learned, a lot of people don't have that in their life. They don't have those people who are positive or exciting and fun and, bringing in this joy to them. So I'm grateful that God gave me that one. He could have given me anything. And I'm glad I have that, because it just seems like it's at the higher spectrum of consciousness. Joy is like one of the top levels of vibrational frequencies. And the fact that I've been told repeatedly that I exhibit joy, I'm just so grateful. Like, oh, thank you, Lord. I like that. Because I used to complain saying I don't have the kind of talent that people can benefit from, because I don't draw, I don't sing, I'm not good with my hands. I kept saying, because I can't produce something that's tangible, they can be, oh, look at this. And people can buy into that. What I have is so much more, because what I have, it empowers people and gives them permission to be able to be on this side of the fence and be joyful with it, knowing that traumas come and trials come and get out, baby. I'm almost done. That's my grandbaby. The traumas come and trials come, but you can still smile through them. Like you said, you go like, hey, you know what? I'm going through some stuff, but God is good. I'm always amazed about, and I say this and I'll shut up, about like when somebody loses a loved one, and let's say it's one of those tragic deaths that makes the news. And when that mother or that spouse or whoever it is can stand up in front of that camera and say, you know what, I forgive the person, I'm at peace with it. Like, cause there's nothing you can do. You just got to turn it. You just take the lemons and make lemonade, literally. That's what you can do with every situation. You can take something that's horrible and turn it into a positive, because I wouldn't be where I am now if I didn't go through the crap I went through when I was drinking. So that's what I said earlier about, in order to become a survivor, you do have to go through a victimness. But once you become a survivor, it gives you respect to the victimness you went through. I look back now like, thank you for all that pain, anger, frustration, and hurt that I felt, because I wouldn't be here being able to relate to somebody else and help them get out of that bondage if I didn't go through it myself.
That was excellently said. For those who don't know this lady, that was excellently said. She has a way with words, especially when she's passionate and it comes from the heart. Sometimes we overthink what we want to say. We just don't let the heart speak. Let your heart speak. And as we close, what do you want to tell the next generation coming up? And how do you want to shape their experience and their minds as we close today?
Oh, wow. The next generation, I would tell them to focus more on being than doing. We get caught up at, like, when you're asked as a child, what do you want to be when you grow up? And instead of working to focus on the word be, we answer with a do. I want to be a lawyer. Well, you don't do, you know what I mean? I want to be a doctor. That's what you want to do. That's not who you want to be. Who you want to be is when you get to internalize and you focus on those characteristics of you, those attributes, the characters, the characteristic of who you are. So focus on who you are more than what you want to do. Because when you focus on who you are and you build that up and you be, then the doing just comes. The doing just comes. And that's the best advice I can give somebody, especially young people. Who do you want to be? What kind of person do you want to be? Outline that, be as specific as possible, and then take steps daily to become that person. And everything else it'll come to you, because you know who you are. And be yourself every day. Don't be anything other than yourself. Be as authentic and genuine as you possibly can. Don't let anybody else tell you that who you are is bad or evil or wrong or nothing, because you can control who you are and who you want to be. That's the advice I'd give them.